Hi, so here's a little film about writing reports which you're going to need to do for your Component 2 exam. So here's a typical task: write a report for your principal and governors about the ways in which the Academy uses technology to benefit students. You can see that obviously one of the first things we've got to do is to work out what the purpose of the piece of writing is, and because it's a report, that's going to be filled with information. It's going to be written in a neutral style. That means you're not going to sound judgmental, you're going to put the facts out there. That's the most important thing that we do. We need to think about who we're writing for, and in this case it's the principal and the governors, so we need to think about what that means for our writing. And if you can see over on the right there, it says language, which means it's going to be formal, and as I said, it's going to be neutral. Okay, and then we just need to say to ourselves, right, well, it's a report, therefore it's got to be laid out in a specific way. It's got to look right, and the next slide is going to help you with that, because that's the most important thing. That's really why I put this little film out there today. And then I want you to think about the structure, which is part of the layout really, which is that you're going to have headings, you're going to have an introduction, you're going to have some findings, and you're going to have some suggestions. Because what I want you to remember is that a report tends to get commissioned. That means somebody asks for it to be written because there's a problem. Just assume there's a problem and go looking for problems. Write about problems with things, and then you can be the hero actually and come up with all sorts of solutions for them. So here we've got a report in front of us, and I'd just like to talk you through it, and there would be more to it. This is a sort of a partial report, it's not complete. So it starts at the top, and you need a title. So you need to think about what you've been asked to do and make sure that your title, and you can even write the word title if it helps, that your title is very clear about what it is that your report is about. So here it says report concerning IT use at Greenhill Academy, Sheffield. Notice that word concerning, it means what it's about. This is what it's about, that's what it says. And notice I've got the word report right at the beginning. Helps the examiner know that you know what you're doing. Get the date on there. You don't need a specific date necessarily, but get a month and get a year on there. We know when this report was written then, don't we? And then get a name, your name. And then in brackets after it, either invent or have a real example of what your job is. So who are you? Why are you the person who's written this report? You know, are you an important person? What was the reason they chose you to write this report? And then you can see that I've got an introduction. Now, what I want you to think about the introduction is you need to ask yourself, why have I been asked to write this report, and who has asked me to write it? So as you can see, it says, as a result of our recent Ofsted inspection, I've been asked by Mr. Todd, our principal, and Mrs. Sweeney, acting on behalf of the Board of Governors, to audit the Academy's information technology use and the impact on our students. Audit means kind of gather together and work out just what you've got and whether it's effective, whether it works or not. So that's a pretty straightforward introduction, talking about why it's happening. Obviously there's something gone a bit wrong with Ofsted, so you've needed to look around your school to decide whether you need some more IT and whether it's working properly. So then you can see I've got another heading. It says findings, and then you've got some bullet points, numbers underneath. These are things I want you to use. Write the word findings and then use bullet point numbers. You can see I've got a 1 and a 2, but I'd expect a 3 and a 4 there. I'd like as many as 4 findings if you've got the time to do it. So here we got a topic, and our topic here is interactive whiteboards. Okay, I want you to think just as you would do with any task that you've got 4 topics. Okay, and I want you to think about how you're going to write about them. So here we have, in theory, each classroom is equipped with an interactive whiteboard which teachers use daily in order to deliver interactive lessons. However, as part of a learning walk, it was discovered that the majority of teachers are using them as boards to show PowerPoint, and a significant number are not in use because bulbs have not been replaced. So we've got our topic, interactive whiteboards. We've got something that you did, which is walking around, a learning walk. We've got this word in the middle there. It's really important, and I hope you can see it. However, in other words, this is what's supposed to happen. Everybody's supposed to use interactive boards, students and teachers using them together. However, most people are just showing PowerPoint on them. That's a problem. And lots of them aren't working because bulbs have not been replaced. And notice that bulbs have not been replaced is in quotation marks. So that's it's a bit like an anecdote. That's a story. That's an expert telling you something that you can write down. Okay, and there you go. There's a first point. So you can see what I've done there. I've used kind of a way of building a paragraph with a topic, something factual, then I've kind of developed it a little bit and told a little tiny story by explaining that somebody told me that bulbs have not been replaced. Okay, and I would hope to do 4 of those based on 4 different aspects of IT use in the school in this case. But what I want you to notice is that underneath I've got suggestions. So I'm going to have all my problems, all my findings together. 4 paragraphs numbered with my problems. And then underneath I'm going to have my suggestions. I'm going to be the hero. These are the things I think we should do about it. So they link up. Number 1 goes with number 1. So number 1 here is about interactive whiteboards. So it says money needs to be found from our budget in order to ensure that bulbs are replaced regularly, and teachers should be trained in order to make them feel confident using the interactive features on our boards. So in other words, this is what we do about it. Okay? And that's what I'd want you to do for each of your problems. Each of your findings needs a suggestion and a solution. What I want you to notice is that there's not too much I in this. If you're going to be neutral, you need to try to write in a way as if to say, this is true and this is what should happen. Not, I think this is disgraceful and this needs to be changed and I'm very upset, because that's just you then, isn't it? What we want to be writing about is the facts, and then anybody who's got a big decision to make can just look at the facts and make the decision for themselves. So that's what we do. We make a title, a date, we write someone's name at the top, we put a little introduction, why have we been asked to write this report, we come up with our findings, probably 4 problems. Then we come up with 4 solutions to solve it, and we separate them out just like this. And it's as simple as that. It's not a letter, so at the bottom you don't have to write yours sincerely, Mark Roberts, or anything like that. You can at the bottom if you want to write, I look forward to discussing these concerns with you. But other than that, you don't really need to do much else. That's what a report looks like, and it's dead simple. And that's what you'd do if you got one in the test.